Hello and welcome to the 31st episode of Kerbal Space Program Reborn. Today we have a lot of stuff to do, so let's get right into it. So as you've probably seen, I've accepted a few new missions and researched the flight control panel, allowing us to unlock flight RCS thrusters, and this will be very important for this episode because we're gonna have some flights with it. But for now, I did a ground experiment, as you could see, and planned and executed our KZ4's return trip, which we will slowly recover today, and therefore it's going to be a very interesting flight back. As you can see, we just had enough fuel to complete this burn, and therefore we separated us from the fuel stage because yeah, we didn't have much to do now and we could just float and wait now, because as you can see on the top left, they were in orbit for 70 days, which is kind of crazy. Therefore we need to return them ASAP to treat them for medical conditions or whatsoever. Anyhow, after then accepting more contracts, we had a sum of around 618k, which was quite impressive, and therefore I decided to launch a modified Prometheus 3 rocket containing a new rocket booster, as we needed to test that specific rocket fuel booster, as RB also called for solid rocket fuel booster, to test out our new technology, and as it was part of our contract. Sadly, yet as usual, with never before tested rockets, we did end up losing control of the rocket, but that only for a few seconds, because we could still land at the mission target, aka in the ocean. There I conducted all my experiments that I had to do, and then went ahead to prepare the actual re-entry of our KZ4 crew as it was getting closer and closer. So after time warping a bit, they have been in space for a staggering 78 days, which was the reason why we had to get them home immediately, as no one else ever had been in space this long before. So finally it was time for them to re-enter, and they did manage to survive the re-entry and open their parachute safely. They did almost overheat due to the intense speed that we had. I think we had around 11 kilometers per second, which was an insane amount for the re-entry, especially for such a capsule which was never tested for these amount of temperatures before. But after ensuring their safety, it was time to revive our Kuno program, which was discontinued years ago. It was originally used for low altitude human spaceflight, and therefore sort of was discontinued once we created orbital class rockets. Yeah, after a long time, the older brother of Kuno 4, Kuno 5, was born with more hardware, much better hardware than earlier, and therefore the goal of this mission was to launch and get outside the atmosphere to then test our newly researched RCS thrusters, as you could see from the start of this episode. So I have built around 4 mini thrusters on each side of the command module to test them, and let's see if it works. I attached some monopropellant tanks on top of there as well, these circular things, which kind of looked funny on the rocket, but we really needed them in order to actually use the RCS thrusters. And as you can see, it was a full success. We had a huge advantage, not only inside the atmosphere, but also outside, and the OCS thrust control was controlled by the pilot himself and mission control. We continued to engage them here and there until actual touchdown and testing out how they behave in and outside of the atmosphere, as this was a crucial part of the testing campaign. So the brave engineer Staffield Kerman was heading her way back home. Here again with the OCS thrusters engaging to ensure a stable and safe re-entry. Deploying our parachute safely and trying to get that last thrust out to actually brake and have a soft touchdown. So after that milestone was achieved, it was now time for us to test them out on a real launch, thus being the Psych 3 mission. This is actually a crewed mission releasing the Psych 2 crew from the Cosmonautica space station and therefore making us able to research again to receive research points on the space station. So first of all, I researched the unmanned tech component from the Science Research Center, as we have gotten enough points to actually research it from our KZ4 return, allowing us to now do an automated ascent. I know it was kind of risky testing the automatic ascent guidance system on the crewed flight for the first time, but we could always abort it if something were to go wrong. And the launch itself went a little messy, to be honest, having a few attitude problems here and there, but other than that it was executed perfectly and nicely. I actually had detached our fuel stage right before we docked in order to fully control the ship via its RCS thrusters, here again proving their capability, and this worked much more smoother than on previous flights without RCS thrusters. We had to do around 50 times less coordinating and planning, and therefore this was indeed a huge relief on time saving. Next episode we are planning to return our Venus 1 mission back, as it was the first interplanetary mission we have ever launched, which was launched over a year ago. So stay tuned for that. I also want to mention that I could upload less frequently and not once a week anymore for around a month, because I have some schoolwork that needs to be done. So there may be an episode every 2 weeks instead of every 1 week. Therefore, it may vary, but it should only be around for a month though, and therefore I'll be back soon, uploading once a week as usual. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope I see you guys next episode. Bye bye.